بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى. أيها الإخوة والأخوات، أحييكم بتحية أهل الجنة، فالسلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Egypt is part of the Arab Spring, and it is very important to understand the Arab Spring is not anymore a conflict between political forces, but it is a conflict between freedom versus oppression. It is those who are interested in suppressing the freedom of others and the majority of the people who are rising up to gain their freedom, to gain social justice, and to gain human dignity. This is the essence of the Arab Spring. In the Arab world, we have what we call autocracy. And autocracy can come, or dictatorship can come in many different forms. It can be either tribalocracy, a specific tribe is controlling the whole people. In fact, there are some countries are called by the name of their tribes. That is one side. The other side is we have militocracy. The military is oppressing millions of people in the Arab world. So the Arab Spring is very important for Muslim Americans to understand there is a conflict between those who want their freedom, their social justice, and their human dignity, against those who want to suppress them and oppress them from getting their own freedom. The story of Egypt, once you mention the name of Egypt, almost everyone remembers the pyramids. But we have a different story about the pyramid today. If the pyramid represents a great ancient Egyptian civilization, the modern pyramid we have in Egypt for the past 200 years is a pyramid of oppression, is a pyramid of corruption, is a pyramid of injustice. We have a whip. Certain small groups have been coming together for the past 200 years to control the masses. And this web is composed of, number one, corrupt military leaders, corrupt police, and corrupt judiciary. Those three come together so that they can make sure that they will be able to control the masses. But they're supported by other factors. They're supported by the business community and by the media. It's very important for us to understand the dimension of the conflict we have not only in Egypt, but in the Arab world. In Egypt, we've been living under oppression for so many years, at least for the past 200 years. In Egypt, due to the state of oppression, we developed a culture of fear. We used to say to one another, وطي صوتك الحيطان ليها ودان. Don't speak loud. Walls have ears. That is the culture of fear. الباب اللي يجيلك منه الريح سده واستريح. The door where the wind of a change comes, close that door. You don't want to change. It was that culture we were brought up in. That's why we couldn't change the status quo. And the police tactics, the torture that has been happening inside the police stations have made Egyptian people submissive to the status quo. But Egyptians were boiling from inside and didn't know what to do. Let me share with you my little personal story. I got my PhD in English literature from University of Pittsburgh. At the year 2000, I went back to Egypt. When I went back, I started teaching. But as a Muslim, I cannot accept oppression. If I were to accept oppression, I am part of the oppressors. As a Muslim, I was told, الساكت عن الحق شيطان أخرس. Those who are silent about oppression, about not standing up, not speaking truth to power, are dumb devils. Islam taught me that working for justice and freedom is the highest form of ibadah, of worship. You cannot be a Muslim if you don't work for justice, if you don't work for freedom, if you don't work for human dignity. That is how I was brought up as a Muslim. So while I was teaching, I had to use my subversive techniques to encourage students to understand what's going on around us. Usually oppression, dictatorship prevents dialogue. You cannot have a successful dialogue in an oppressive regime. But here, because we live in a free society, we can have a dialogue and we can agree to disagree. But in Egypt, we could not have that successful dialogue on the civic level. So what I used to do, I teach in the English literature, so I used to choose poems, novels, and the drama that help me to talk about the oppression without necessarily being against clearly the oppressive regime. So there was an important novel called Animal Farm. It speaks about animals. But I believe at that time we Egyptians lived like animals, if not worse than animals. We didn't count. We didn't count in the educational policies. We didn't count in our rights. You go to any police station in Egypt during Mubarak regime, you can be easily stopped anywhere and taken to the police station and get tortured. And you had to remain silent. It was too much. It went beyond limits. It went beyond the human capacity to accept oppression. And that's why we moved to the streets on January 25th. We moved to the streets with one important slogan: الشعب يريد إسقاط النظام. That's what Egyptians moved to the street to bring down the system, to bring down the whole oppressive system, to bring down everyone participating in the system. But what happened? The head of the pyramid collapsed, but the pyramid itself of oppression remained intact. Political forces in Egypt decided to move gradually against the pyramid of oppression. We decided to take, and this is a very important lesson we need to learn as Muslim Americans or as Muslims worldwide. We preferred to move gradually and to focus on gradual reform. I ran for the parliament. I come from a city called Luxor. I ran representing the Freedom and Justice Party, the Muslim Brotherhood political party. In my city, 25% of the people living in the city are Christians. They voted for me because I promised them we need better education. I promised them we need better health services. I promised them we need better transportation. I promised them there will be no bribery, no corruption. I promised them we will put hands together, Muslims and Copts, Christians together, so that we can move the country forward. The country is in a bad shape on all levels. We went to the parliament, but the forces of corruption were preparing themselves to stop this march for freedom, to stop this march for social justice, to stop this march for human dignity. We had 5 fair and free elections. Please mark fair and free election. It was witnessed by world organizations. More than 33 million Egyptians, first time in their history, stand up in lines at 11 o'clock at night so that they can cast their vote, because they knew that their votes counted. We elected a member of a parliament, we elected the Shura Council, and we elected the president, Dr. Mohammed Morsi, the elected president of Egypt, first ever in 7,000 years. Egyptians had the right to elect their own president. And we were moving. We were moving in the right direction. Of course, in any transition, you have to expect the troubles. You have to expect, we've been living for the past 200 years under oppression. You can never fix the problems of such a country in 1 year or 5 years or 10 years. Look at other countries. Look at Eastern Germany. 19 years and is still working on fixing the problem of oppression. What we did after we elected the president and we were moving forward, the forces of oppression moved against the president. What did they do? They kidnapped the president. It kidnapped all the aides of the president. Arrested so far, 45,000 Egyptians are in jail. 45,000 political prisoners. Thousands of Egyptians got killed. But I promise you, Egyptian people will continue the march for freedom. We will never submit to dictatorship. We will never submit to tyranny. In addition to clapping, I would like you to send a strong message to the people of Egypt, and please say with me, ثوار أحرار هنكمل المشوار. Thank you. So what do we need to do as Muslim Americans? We can do a lot. You have double responsibility. Number one, you need to work for your own country, America. You need to make sure that your civil liberties, your freedom are protected so no one can infringe on your own liberties and your own freedom. At the same time, we need to learn the lesson of Ireland. Look at what Irish Americans did for Ireland. We need Muslim Americans to carry the flag of freedom, social justice, human dignity all over the world, not only for Muslims, but everywhere. Egypt needs the Muslim American community to put the Egyptian case on the top priority so that we can move forward. Egypt is important, is crucial for the situation in Palestine, for the situation in Libya, for the situation in Tunisia. Egypt is central to the Arab world. And don't forget that the Arab world is the birth of Islam. And don't forget, Islam is a message of mercy. We would like to share the message of mercy with the rest of humanity. We're against all forms of extremism or fanaticism. We're supporting moderation. In fact, many ask me, what do you think of ISIS? I say ISIS is not the problem. ISIS is a symptom of a problem. If you would like to know the real problem, read ISIS backward. So what does it become? See, that is the problem. That is oppression. When there is oppression, what do you expect people to do? My brothers and my sisters, I conclude by saying, you have a great responsibility. You need to carry this flag of freedom, for justice, for human dignity for all. You can do a lot. You can do a lot in America here. America, it is very unfortunate that the American administration is supporting back again dictatorship in Egypt and dictatorship in the Arab world. It is very important people like you can talk to the American administration, tell them that enough is enough, and let us be together so that we create mutual understanding and mutual respect. I know many of you would like to be involved with the Egyptian case. Today, between 6 and 8, I invite those who would like to work for Egypt. Please between 6 and 8 at room 100 South. للمهتمين بالشأن المصري، رجائي من حضراتكم تعالوا نتكلم مع بعض شوية من الساعة 6 ل 8 في غرفة رقم 100 ساوث. رجائي أشوف حضراتكم عشان نقدر ناخد خطوات عملية عشان نحقق قضايا مهمة أوي. إحنا عايزين إيه؟ عايزين حرية، عدالة اجتماعية، كرامة إنسانية، والعيش. وما تنسوش إن دي علامة رابعة. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.